Hi guys, so today we are fixing up my cauldron. I bought this used and it's made out of cast iron, and cast iron is a product that takes a lot of taking care of when you use it, but if you do those things right, it's practically gonna last you forever. So now the cauldron is washed. Mine wasn't so dirty, so I didn't need to use this steel brush, because if you do have a lot more rust in the pot, you might have to use stronger means like a steel brush, but mine wasn't so rusty, so I first washed it. Now the inside of the pot looks like this. Let's see. It looks a wee bit rusty, but let's see what we can do with the grease burn. And the outside looks like this. So let's see. Now we first put the pot in the oven to dry all the moisture out of the iron, because we need to get it really dry before we put the grease on it. So now the cauldron can dry in the oven for a while until it's really dry. There's no moisture left in. Then after that we apply the grease. Mine is especially made from pig fat, I think. I think this is from pig fat, and this is for these cast iron products. So this is especially made for this. But you could use some other type of oil. There are different greasy products that you can use, but this is especially made for cast iron pots and pans. So now the pot has been in the oven for, I don't know, a bit over 10 minutes roughly, and it looks really dry. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna crank up the heat, and I found this table online with different fats, with different oils that you could use, that what is the burning temperature for each. And mine, because I'm not using a vegetable oil, I'm using this. So it was 200 Celsius. So I'm gonna crank up the heat. Now it was like 120 when I was drying the pot. I'm cranking it to 225. So now it's above the smoking point, burning point, whatever that was the correct term for it, to be used with this tube fat. Now I will let the pot cool down for a bit. It's dry now, it's cooling down, and then I start smearing it with the fat. Alright, now the pot has cooled down. So first I will try to smear off the rest of the rust with the fat, and I'm just applying it with paper tissues. So let's see how it works. The fat tube is open. By the way, if you're doing this, take some time, because it takes time. Well, most of the time you're waiting, but it takes time to heat it and it takes time to cool it. The lid is actually quite clean. As we could see, there's not much coming out. But one thing to make sure is that you get every nook and cranny before burning the fat. So you put the oil or the fat in every little place. And before putting it in the oven, you need to wipe also the excess oil or fat out of it. So you don't need a thick coat. You'd rather have a thin coat. Otherwise the cauldron, or even if you're doing this a frying pan or whatever, because if you do have cast iron frying pans that you use in cookings, you should be doing this regularly, like every month or so, depending on how much you use the product. But then wipe off the excess oil or fat. Because if there's too much, the end result is sticky. So now the lid is ready for the oven, and we'll go with the cauldron itself. First, I'm trying to take off the rest of the rust from inside. And this is supposed to happen. You're supposed to rub off the rust. Yeah, you see? A whole lot of smudge coming out of it. And I'll add a bit more to get more of the rust and dirt out. So now I'm only cleaning. I'm using the fat for the cleaning. But see, it's already starting to look a bit better. Now I'm switching to take out the dirt from the outside of the pan, of the outside of the cauldron. And I'm lucky, mine isn't that dirty from the outside, and it wasn't in the inside either, so the outside isn't giving me any rust or dirt. So this can just hang here for a while, the fat coating. Here on the bottom we get a bit more dirt. I'm gonna go inside with the fat once more. Now I think I'm ready to just wipe the excess fat off. And then we're gonna put this bad boy into the oven to burn the fat on it. Because the burning changes the molecular structure of the oil, the fat, whatever you're using. And we don't want the thick coating on it, so we take the excess off. So now let's put it in the oven. And then I'm putting the cauldron upside down in the oven. And now it's above, it's almost 250 Celsius, so it's above the burning point of this pig fat. Cauldron is in, and then the lid. I didn't do a grease for this enamel surface. Let's put it there, and it should stay there roughly an hour or so. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, while the pot is in the oven, I'm gonna wash the handle also. And it's wood. I'm still gonna give it an oil coating, but not with the pig fat. So while the cauldron is now in the oven, I thought I'd make a little oil for the wooden handle. And because my intention with this whole procedure for the cauldron is to do a cleansing. So I'm using, for a base oil, I'm using almond oil, sweet almond oil. I have rosemary, I have basil, and I believe timyami is called thyme, something like that in English. So I'm using this. I haven't had the opportunity to put these herbs to the jars I've bought for them because I don't have the label stickers yet, and I want to do the jarring procedure when I have the labels to put in the jars, so I don't mix up. So I don't need a big portion this oil because the handle is small, so I'm just making a small batch. I'm using a pinch of each because I already have this quite fine grind herbs, but there's not much to do with the mortar and the pestle, but I'm still gonna mix it a bit before adding it to the oil. That's more than enough for my needs for today. My handle is dry now, and the oil smells beautiful. It smells homey. It smells warm and kitcheny. So I'm just gonna smear it on the handle. You could of course do the oil beforehand and take off the herbs, but I'm just rubbing the herbs with the oil to the handle because I want to have the cleansing effect and also the smell attaching to the wood. Now I just let the wood soak in this cleansing oil. After I'm finished with the cauldron, I'm gonna just wipe off the excess and the wood will soak in the rest. Time to wash my hands. And meanwhile in the oven you see the smoke, the fat is burning. Let's see if it's still smoking or not. Okay, no more smoke. So we're ready to let the pot cool down. And let's see if it needs a second coating of the fat or not. Okay, so the pot is looking quite okay, but the lid, oh my god, chaos. Let's see what we can do about this. I'm not sure if I broke the enamel in the heat. Whoopsie. Let's see. Now the pot has cooled down and it looks that I actually did ruin the lid for a bit. So I created a pretty brown spider web kind of pattern there. So if you have enamel on your pot, don't do what I just did. But now you can see there are my fingerprints, 3 of my fingerprints burned to the lid of my cauldron. I tried to scratch some of it. I'm able to scratch off, but it is what it is. So I'm not gonna put in the lid for the second round, but the pot, or the, oh, fuck, it's still hot. Hot. But the cauldron itself is looking a lot better, but I'm still gonna add a second coating of the fat inside. But now all the light brown rusty spots are away, but I'm gonna do a second coating for that. So again, applying the fat, taking the excess off with the paper, putting it back into oven and taking it out when the smoke is no more present. So that's next. And I just applied the second coating of the fat and you see no more rust, no more dirt on my paper. I'm letting the fat soak in for a while and then I'm taking the excess off with a clean, fresh paper and then it's back to the oven again. But at least the handle came out perfect. There's no more that gray like signs of use at the edges and it smells beautiful. So looks like 2 parts out of 3 went well, and the 1 part with the lid was kind of like nailed it. But hey, that's just life. It ain't so serious. The lid still works, so no big damage done. And at least I think that now the cauldron has my imprint on it with the spider web and the 3 fingerprints. So if the police find this, they will know it's my cauldron. So when I ruined the lid, I first went into the same online marketplace and I found another pot exactly like mine, but it was missing the handle and it was really cheap and really close. So I went and picked it up, but when I came home I realized that it was just a wee bit smaller and the lid didn't fit. So then I was thinking what to do, and then I realized that I would take this dishwasher tablet and put that into a really hot water and take a sponge and I started to clean the lid And look at the end result. I was able to take all the spider webs off, and it was amazing. But now, well, I have two similar looking cauldrons, and the little sister is now a money bowl on top of John. So the process ended up being a bit longer because I fixed up my original cauldron, and then I got the little sister and I did the same fix up process for her. And but then what I did with my cauldron after the physical cleaning and all those things that you just saw here on the video, I finally got myself a quiet evening when there was nobody home, and I was able to have a cleansing session with my cauldron. And I also had this long ritual that I did with it, and I just took a few pictures for you guys to see while I was doing my setup, but the process was long. First I was cleaning the kitchen and doing a whole lot more to create the space for my ritual for this, and I used the 4 elements. I used my new fresh smudge stick, uh, the one behind the cauldron there, the wormwood one, and then I had a long ritual to cut off all the negative ties. As you can see, I had all the elements on the table. In my ritual, I had a small black candle and a small white candle, just in case I wanted to do a bit more bigger and efficient cleansing ritual to my cauldron, because I thought that we only get a one start together, so I'd better make it a good one. And I'm not going to share the details of what we did or what I did with my cauldron. It got its name during that process, and it was a really lovely and intimate experience, and we bonded, and I think that we're gonna have an amazing time together from here on out. And even though the start was a bit rough, but I think that all that is behind us now, and we can start to really work together. But if you have any questions on anything on the fixing up process, just ask them down below. And I don't know, this is just a perfect example of my personality. Ending up with 2 cauldrons at the same time. But I was so lucky that the little sister was a whole lot cheaper. It was a real bargain. And also I'm happy that that little one got a new life, because it was just staying on the cupboard with that woman and it never got to be used. So now it's also fixed up and pretty, and I can keep that one out in the open and have it is my money jar where I can do different stuff and save my cauldron for the more bigger things to do and different things to do. So I think that both of them have a place in my practice. I'm really happy, but it's just so me to just jump into the car and go and pick up a replacing before even trying all that I could to fix it up. But all ended well. So until next time, bye guys.